Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zanker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zanker, and I'm your host. And I'm always looking to bring you interesting, diverse people. Today is no exception. I'm writing a new book for everybody who doesn't know that, because I really haven't talked about it on my podcast. And it's really themed around my reset framework, reset moments, reset practice, and reset mindset. And so we're going to talk a little reset today with Deb Gardner. I'm so excited to have her here. So fortunate that I guess it was like 2 weeks ago, we shared the stage at a conference and we were able to see each other speak, and it was fantastic. She's got so much energy. She's so funny. And I know you guys are going to love her here today. She is a certified meeting professional, and she's recipient of the one and only 7 CMP speakers globally who has received this prestigious credential. She is also Meetings Mean Business Ambassador and the most requested speaker by Meeting Professional International, and on and on. She has the accolades. Not only that, but she's got an incredible story. So without further ado, Deb, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Penny. I really am excited to be here. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. So we share a theme. You talked about resistance, right, as a big thing. And I think there's a lot of connection between resistance and my talk around reset. And I'd love to hear, when you talk about resistance, what's the challenge and how do we connect the two? Or maybe that's way too much to throw on you as a question, but you're talking about resistance. Let's just start there and understand, what is our challenge with resistance today?
Yeah, very good question. And you're right. It is general. We can go so many different directions. And I just look at resistance as something that we all have to deal with day in and day out. There's 3 things that everyone has to deal with. And there's no way, no matter what role or title or what position you have, or if you're a celebrity or wherever, there's 3 areas. And those are pain, uncertainty, and grind. Those are the 3 areas that everybody has to deal with day in and day out. And because of that, resistance builds from it, which is the cause of fear, anxiety, stress, burnout, being overwhelmed, being stuck. I mean, that resistance is what we have to deal with, and it's not something that we have a tendency to really focus on. And so my purpose is to bring this to the surface so people can understand what resistance is and how to reset themselves so that they can move forward. Again, you're right. We complement one another purposefully, and it makes a lot of sense. So resistance is the big challenge.
So that's interesting. So you framed everything, these major changes, being stuck and all of these things, around the lens, right? That we look at it through, where's the resistance? If we would just let go of the resistance, then we'd be able to break through. And that makes total sense to me, right? When you say it like that, if we can determine where the resistance is, then we'll be able to flow much more quickly. Now, I know you have a personal story behind that. So why don't we share with the audience, where does it come from?
Well, of course, we always look back to our past, all the way to my childhood. Resistance for me, far back as I can remember, I was in 9th grade. And I remember wanting to be very successful. I knew the term success at a very young age. I just didn't know how to get there. So I would take risks. I would try certain things, different things to make myself stand out. And that is something we are always trying to accomplish. And in 9th grade, I remember wearing go-go boots to school. And I thought, this is really going to help me stand out. Plus, I love go-go boots because I used to listen to Nancy Sinatra and Aretha Franklin music. And I love that kind of music. So I wore these white go-go boots to class. My friends and my acquaintances, people, young kids, they all loved it, watching me walk down the hall in my go-go boots. But yet there was the resistance of some girls, which we call mean girls, did not like my go-go boots. And they really showed me that they didn't like my go-go boots because after school, they met me in the parking lot and pretty much told me where to take those go-go boots. And they pushed me to the ground. They bullied me. They kicked dirt over my boots and they told me never to wear those boots again. And from there, that's when I first realized, wow, this is resistance. This is something I have to deal with probably in my life. And it devastated me. It really devastated me because to this day, I think about that particular day, how it just changed me. And ever since then, I've realized, yeah, there's a lot of other types of resistance out there that I'm dealing with. But that was my first experience.
Right. There's people are not always going to accept us, our ideas, our leadership, whatever the case might be.
Right. It could be at work. It could be at home. It could be at family. It could be with strangers. It could be situations, circumstances. I mean, look what we're going through with the world today. That's even resistance. And how to handle that is key. And we bring resistance into our life all the time as well, which is kind of the ironic side of it. We're trying to get away from resistance, but we keep bringing it in. And let me give you an example.
Yeah.
I do a lot of competitive swimming since I was a little girl. And if you think about it, your audiences out there that are probably thinking swimming is most people like to do. Maybe they do it themselves, or maybe they know of somebody in their family, friends that do swimming. Well, in the swimming world, when we dive into a pool, no matter what size or shape it is, immediately we hit resistance. And when I swim in a 50-meter Olympic-sized pool, there's over 660,000 gallons of water in that pool. That's a lot of resistance.
A lot of resistance.
Yeah. And yet swimmers keep diving in. They keep diving toward it, including myself, looking for the greatest impact with the least resistance in order to increase our speed so that we can win races. So even though we try to get resistance out of our lives, we also seem to head toward it as well.
Well, yeah, we take on the challenge, right? A swimmer, a diver, or almost any sport, right, that goes against the wind. I guess you can liken it to that competitive spirit or that drive that has us go through resistance and uncomfortable things to get to the other side.
Right.
Because that's the only way that we can excel and get to the next level, is to break through that resistance or that comfort zone or whatever we want to call it, that is keeping us safe and keeping us small and keeping us from growing. So I think
you hit it on the nail. That you were spot on about that, because a lot of people will look at resistance as a negative. But to me, resistance is not the enemy. It's not at all. Comfort is. Being comfortable, being complacent, that is even more dangerous to be in the line of fire there. So
I want to say something to that. I want to interrupt you there because I want to say something that, especially for the listeners, I believe that complacency is actually one of our biggest threats for the future. You know, some people talking about, AI, that I think complacency is the absolute biggest threat to our future, to our innovation, because we've got so many things that are done for us and we are so comfortable. We're so distracted by meaningless things that I think, and that leaves us like in this place of learned helplessness. And I think that that is the biggest threat to our future. Drop the mic right there. Bam.
Yeah, spot on. I totally agree with you. And that's why we have to be very aware of our surroundings, aware of how we're reaching our goals. I call it the iconic mindset. You have to have this mindset that without you moving forward, nothing is going to get accomplished. And I'm all about, you don't have to change who you are, but instead become more of who you are. I believe that. And how do you do that? Well, you have to take action. You have to really keep
So now we're
yourself
in the
moving.
reset part, right?
This is the reset part.
Just for those
Absolutely.
listening.
And the purpose of reset to me is all about clearing away any fears, any doubts about yourself, and bring in a system that works for you so that you can get to what is normal conditions for yourself and in more of a controlled manner. So resetting is so refreshing. It's a refreshing situation to where you can just have a clean slate, a clear mind, away from any type of distractions, and just say, I'm going to reset and move forward from there.
There's people listening and they're like, well, that sounds all well and good, but how do I do that? Like, yes, I want to get past this fear and this anxiousness, but I can't. So what's a strategy that can help them when they're in that place of fear or not taking action, they're procrastinating? How do they do that?
Good question. And again, this is why reset and resistance is so complementary with each other, is because from the professional side of swimming that I've done, I've been able to discover through firsthand experience of swimming that I've developed an exclusive process called the Streamline method. And this method allows you to get unstuck. It allows you to conquer your fears. It allows you to not stress out as long as you follow that method. And it's only a 3-part method too. And it
doesn't need to be complex. You just need to do it.
Not at all. Not at all. And that is what I call step, feedback, and respond. If you take the step to find out who you are as far as your authentic voice and your authentic self, you'll be able to take that first step. Now, a lot of times people will say, well, I'll plan, I'll think about it, then I'll plan again. Mm-hmm. Before you know it, they're not taking the first step. See, it's
right.
Not
they're
so
over
much
planning.
Yeah. It's not so much about how to take that step because you're trying to plan. It's what allows you to take that step. And what allows you to take that step is where the motivation is. So you have to actually be motivated before taking action. A lot of people think it's the other way around. No, you have to be motivated. And the only way to motivate yourself is to really discover your core strength. Your core strength, it's about knowing your worth. It's about your value area that's important. And once you know that core strength, you're going to be able to take that first step because you're going to be motivated. You're going to be more motivated to do that.
Right.
And then once you take that first step, of course, I could go more deeper into it, but once you take that first step with your core strength that you're going to feel more comfortable with, then it's a matter of asking people for help. Now, this is something that's very hard for women to do because we all want to fix it ourselves. We're the one that's always helping others. If you actually get help or ask for feedback, whatever that might look like, you're going to get different perspectives. You're going to get other brilliant minds to be involved instead of feeling like you're taking this journey by yourself. And the best part is when you get to respond to all of that. Once you gather all that information that allows you to move your goals forward or your journey forward, the respond part is about implementing it. It's about doing it. Besides just step, feedback, respond, I have this see it, be it, do it as another term as well. But that to me is the most simple way to take action, to move forward, and to reset.
How did that come from swimming? Let me hear the background of that story.
Well, yeah, each part of that comes from the swimming world. The Streamline method actually is considered the 5th stroke. Streamlining is the 5th stroke of swimming. It used to be 4. If any swimmers out there probably know the 4, they're butterfly, backstroke, breast, and free. But now we have a 5th called streamlining. And the streamline actually applies to all 4 of the other strokes as well. So when you see a swimmer get off the block, let's say the past Olympics, which was really used and really introduced, when swimmers dive off the block, what they're doing is they are going to a certain depth under the water where they actually can find these air pockets that allow them to move faster, more efficient, more effective before they have to come up to the surface to actually swim the actual stroke. And because of that, they've been able to break their times. They're breaking records, a lot happier coaches.
Right.
Everybody wins. So that's where the Streamline method comes from.
So, and how do those steps fit into that? Or is that just the name that you're using? Or do the steps actually fit into that as well?
Yeah, it does. It not only fits in the swimming world, but in the business life, your personal life, because the steps have to do with the core strength. Our core strength comes from right where our gut is. And sometimes we don't listen to our gut good enough. Sometimes we'll think, oh, you've heard that saying, I should have listened to my gut. Yeah, we should have, because that's what we do as swimmers. We actually have to listen to our core strength, which is right in our gut area. And that's what allows us to move our arms, our legs, when to breathe, that intuition you get to follow to make the steps. The feedback part for us is all about coaching. We listen to our coaches, our trainers. Sometimes we have to listen to our family and friends after they've seen us swim in a meet. And that's good. Having a coach is important because that's where your feedback is. But you also have to remember to ask questions along the way. And then the respond is that's where you just do it. You just dive in, and by then all your butterflies go away and you're just swimming. You're just swimming your own race and moving forward.
Fantastic. All right, great. Well, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So let me just ask you a couple questions that I ask a lot of guests. What would you say is your definition of productivity and why?
Oh, gosh. I'm glad you asked because I just was halfway through your book.
Wow, the productivity zone.
Yep. I was just halfway through it, and brilliant, by the way. But productivity to me is where you know the signs that allow you to move forward. That's when you're going to be productive. You've got to really be cognizant to your signs of burnout, when you're abandoning your goals, when you feel stuck or helpless, or even when you're moving forward and then you stop, but then you don't move forward anymore. You're not being productive. I just believe that you have to really know what that feels like. And sometimes you have to delete or let go, like you mentioned earlier, of things. Sometimes when on our cell phones, we have to weed out all the people that we don't deal with. And so sometimes you have to do that. But at the same time, you have to let go of anything that doesn't make you happy, that doesn't serve you, doesn't inspire you or allow you to grow more.
Yes,
so
because it takes up space. It creates resistance. Believe it or not, all of that stuff, whatever the clutter may be, whether it's in your contacts or it's in your kitchen or wherever in your relationships, it all does create resistance and keeps you from moving forward.
It does. And if you're going to be productive, you're going to know you were productive because it is a great feeling. My husband's gone this week traveling, and I thought, you know what? One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my closet, literally my clothes closet.
Right.
So I put everything out on the bed. I mean, I took everything out and did one by one back in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so refreshing to know I can actually see my shoes and my skirts and my blouses for a change. And it's such a wonderful, wonderful feeling. But you have to be focused to get it done. You have to be very, very focused.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time. And it does feel good when we make progress towards even those little things that we haven't been doing for and have set aside, and it takes up energy. Like every time we look at it, right? Probably every time you look at your closet, you're like, oh, I got to do this, right?
No.
And so it's amazing. Like when you just do it, like I had a light bulb that was out. It was out for a long time. And I just finally did it. And I was like, oh, I feel so good. Like, thank God there's light there. So, you know, the little things.
But so true. So true.
Anyway, what didn't I ask you yet that you feel is really important to bring to the attention of the listeners?
I think most of all, people need to realize that pain, uncertainty, and grind is part of our life. It's not something that you can just like wipe clean and it's going to go away. It's a matter of how you handle it. And to know that you can envision anything and everything. I mean, visualization is key. If you start your day out visualizing what your day looks like, I know you'd be completely surprised at how you can control that process, to control your mind, control your attitude. It'll just remind you that, hey, this is how I visualize my day. Some people have vision boards and they need to actually see it instead of in the mind. That is a great process too. I think the productivity zone, like the name of your book is key. And if you can visualize starting your day out, visualizing, it's so powerful. It's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so many people, athletics, right? So you're talking about your own background in athletics.
Absolutely.
Every major champion that you talk to has a visualization process, right?
Yes.
Of seeing them, Michael Phelps with the perfect stroke, right? I've heard that many times that he'd say, put in the videotape of him doing that perfect stroke. So
absolutely. And so they're great role models to watch and to learn from if no one knows how to do it. And we can see all of this on YouTube in particular with interviews that they've done and everything. And I watch that and it's so inspiring for my own life.
Totally. So last thing I want to say before we sign off and I ask you where people can get a hold of you is I love the fact that in those 3 points that you've got grind, right? Because so many people are focused on the uncertainty, which is important that you have there, and the change and those aspects, but nobody's really talking about the grind, the day-to-day getting stuff done that has to get done. And it might be boring and it might require discipline and it might just be all of that stuff. But I think that is really, I love that. It really struck me to hear that that's part of it, is to understand that that's just part of it. And it's how you respond to it. You can get frustrated with it. You can resist it. You can, all of these things that just take up energy and waste energy, or you can just get on with it and find the best way to get it done.
And I loved what you said at the women's conference where I got a chance to meet you a couple of weeks ago. I believe you were talking about the 80-20 rule. What really resonated with me was usually it's the 80% that you focus on, but yet you were saying, let's focus on the 20% and really focus there. When you said that, I thought, I feel so much more relaxed because I'm thinking, I'm always focused on the 80%. But really, if you focus on what's important to you on the 20% and go from there, you're going to get a lot more done than to be overwhelmed with the 80%. So I appreciated that.
Oh, well, thank you. Definitely. I took a lot of notes during your session too. And a lot of these points that you're bringing across today, I know are super valuable for the listeners. So where do they find more information about you and your books and your work?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I would love very much to connect with your listeners and those that are watching today. I'm, of course, on every social media burst right now and platform. So that definitely is a great place. My website, deborahgardner.com, or my email, deborah@deborahgardner.com. I would love more than anything to hear what other people are experiencing out there because we're all here in it together.
Absolutely. Well, Deborah, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your words of wisdom.
It was an absolute pleasure for me today. I'm delighted that I had the opportunity to meet you. You are fantastic and brilliant and talented. And I'm sure that all your viewers and those that are watching and listening see that too. So thank you so much. It's a delight to be here.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I only have people that are equally as talented, brilliant, and wise. So it takes one to know one, right?
That's right. Well, in the pageant world that we talk about, it's all about helping each other adjust our crowns. And I love that saying because it just takes a little tweak, a little help somewhere between people, and you make a big difference in people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all for being here, because you are the core of the show. And it's important that you are getting those adjustments of your crown, that you're able to get those little tips and tricks that you need so that you can be better every day. And so it's important that you took away something from today or from every episode that just makes your life a little bit better, a little bit easier, a little less stressful, allows you to take a bigger step forward, and allows you to more effortlessly move towards your goals. And really, at the end of the day, that's what productivity is, creating that progress. So thank you for being here. Make sure that you subscribe. If you haven't written a review, I'd love for you to do that. I've actually never asked before, but hey, why not ask today? Go ahead and do that. And I'd love to hear back from you. And of course, if there's any topics that you want to hear about, do let me know over social media or message me directly. So as you know, my name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.